Hey, thank you everybody for showing up today. Sorry I was a few minutes late. I was having a little bit of complication getting all this set up. Make sure you let me know if you're here. Just send me a question in the chat. Let me know. If you have anything at any point, just kind of stop me in the middle of the presentation and ask. This is something I really like to talk about, and I think you guys are going to get a lot of value out of this presentation that I have scheduled for you today. So one thing we're going to do a little bit different today than what we've done in previous events. Hey, how you doing today, Gary? I figured you would want to come. Thanks a lot for showing up, man. It's good to see you. Has your family been safe and everything? Everything been going good? Looks like Nexus has joined us, everyone. I hope he doesn't beat me up too much today. So we're gonna have to get Gary in on one of our podcasts or live stream soon. Good deal. That's good to hear. Well, I think after you see this, Gary, you're gonna really kind of get an idea of what I really like to specialize and what I really like to do. As you know, I've been building websites now for over 10 years. I do a lot of creative social media. I do a lot of really interesting things and work on a lot of really big projects. But one thing that is kind of true and dear to me is I really like to make everything secure for the customer. There are so many different elements to this equation. And I could have gone on for hours and hours about this, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to talk about only 7 things today. I'm going to give you 7 different tools that I use to keep client and customer websites secure. Now, to be completely upfront and honest with you, there are some things that I do that are very specific that I don't want to talk about on some of the configuration end, but I'm going to show you what tools we use so you can kind of move forward if you want to protect yourself in the same fashion that we do. So the most important thing that I need to talk to you about, first of all, is when the way that we're going to do this specific set is you can watch this on YouTube Live, you can watch this on Facebook Live, but we're going to start with just talking about the different steps of doing it. Then I'm going to give you like a little presentation. Then we're going to show you a couple of these different tools online to show you how to access them and what you need to do. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it. So let's just kind of jump into, some of the WordPress news first, and then we're going to go into the steps. So obviously, you guys know that I teach a Shopify class, a WordPress class, and a social media class. But did you know that I've had quite a number of people using Wix lately, and the new Wix Editor X is coming out, and we've actually been beta testing it for a couple of weeks now, and we really like it. So we're going to see how we can kind of work that into the platform and the way we do things. If you have a Wix website, none of this technology here applies to you. This is something that would totally be different. So if you're coming from the Wix camp over here because you've been told to by various people, the next one that we do, we'll be talking about a few things about Wix. So if you have any questions about Wix, WordPress, Shopify, Squarespace, feel free to answer. But today, let's focus on WordPress. And also, don't forget to come to our social media class next week, because we're also going to teach you how to secure your social media web presence as well. There's a lot of times we have customers that actually are good e-commerce customers, and sometimes they lose accounts because things aren't secure, or they use, they don't really have a good process to keep everything secure in their company. All the ones that we protect, I would say 99% of them are all secure. We've had a couple of times where a customer lost an Instagram account or a Twitter account only because they had multiple people working it, and people left and tried to take the account, but we were always able to reclaim it. So if you have any questions like that, feel free to ask. So let's just kind of jump into some of the WordPress news for April 2020. I'm sure if you are around WordPress at all, you know that WordPress 5.4 come out and March 31st as they promised. It was a very refreshing update. I'm really happy with what WordPress has done. Everyone's been working really, really hard. Everyone has done a great job. So far, I haven't found any problems with core. If you have yourself, feel free to reach out to me, let me know. Seems like core is like really stable. Seems like all the themes are working really well with core. But there is quite a number of plugin issues, and we're going to talk about that later. But let's just talk about some of these good positive things. WordPress is going to be launching a new blockchain project called Newspack. The funding round has been led by Google. Google has invested about $1.2 million into this project. And this is what they're going to do is they're going to allow certain news authority type sites to be a part of this. And it's a pretty pricey platform to be on, anywhere from about $1,000 to $2,000 a month. But what they're going to do is they're going to allow them to put their news articles on their blockchain to store them for the future. Now, the good thing about that is it keeps people from changing things and auditing and editing and stuff like that. That'll actually keep it secure, and it's a very, very interesting project. I'm going to show you guys how it works here in a minute. Also, there's a brand new WordPress cryptocurrency exchange plugin made for WordPress. It's called WP Crypto Exchange. I'm going to be showing you guys that as well later in the presentation. This is something that will allow you to convert from one type of digital currency to another directly on your WordPress website. Also, if you haven't noticed, in Gutenberg 7.9, they've added gradients to the blocks. This is something that kind of puts it on par with like Elementor and all your other builders out there. I have to say that we're kind of impartial to Elementor. We also like Oxygen. We've been building a couple of sites on that here recently, and we've really kind of fallen in love with that. If any of you guys have joined here in the last couple of minutes, feel free to jump in if you have any questions. Also, I wanted to bring up that BuddyPress has got an update for groups and member blocks. So it's really kind of working well with Gutenberg. What I kind of see in the future is kind of a holistic approach to making all these great, wonderful things that all these other developers have made and just kind of making it native. And I think what people will find is, unless you're running a really complicated setup, you're going to find that it's going to make your website more secure. It's going to make your website load faster when you don't have a bunch of bloated plugins on there slowing it down. So keep in mind that the more you keep off, the safer you are. And I'm going to show you this here very, very soon, because it's not uncommon for some of your largest type plugins, the most popular ones, to be hacked. And I know how people are. I know people have a very busy schedule and they don't check their websites as much as they need to. In WordPress, you probably right now need to be logging in about, once or twice a week and making sure things need to be updated. Some of the biggest plugins out there right now have been Elementor. There was a vulnerability that was found in it a few days ago. LearnDash, there was a vulnerability found in that. I can go on and on. There's probably about 15 to 20 that they found here recently. And I want to touch base about that just so you guys, have the good, insight to know to make sure you update your plugins. And of course, I'm not sure if anyone caught this too, but Jetpack just relaunched a search feature as a standalone, service. So if you're looking for a search alternative, if you don't want to pay for some of these more high-end search, type plugins or systems that are available, feel free to check out the Jetpack, search service. So that's something that's just recently just kind of popped up. And this is actually really exciting. Google Shopping is now open to free listings. This is just something I was talking about this probably about a year ago. I had a feeling this was coming. At some point, we knew that Google just wanted to get people's products onto their platform. And, by the time you charge somebody to put something on and you got to do all that extra work and you really kind of lean to one platform that makes you all the money, you just kind of pull your stuff off the others. I think a lot of times people get overwhelmed because there's so many channels to work on. And this right here will reduce that cost and just kind of make it a piece to the puzzle that you need to move forward and continue to make money online. So I've already kind of reviewed this a little bit. The WordPress 5.4, the core seems to be really solid. People have been trying to break it. They've been testing it. It's been around for a little bit, and we really like it. So far, no questions, no problems. We really, really like it. And if anyone finds a problem, don't hesitate to let us know, and we'll put it through the proper channels to make sure that it gets fixed. What we see is a lot of times people have an out-of-date plugin or something, and they accidentally update, and they don't know what they're doing, and things break. There's kind of a protocol you need to follow when you're updating those things. One of the most important things that you can kind of do, and I should have said this in the beginning of this stream right here, is to make sure that you keep your WordPress theme, plugins, and your core updated. That's the most important thing. And to make sure your server is updated, make sure your database is updated, make sure your PHP is at least at 7.3 or 7.4. Don't use any of those 7.1 or 7.2. Those are deprecated. You need to get away from those. Try to be at least on PHP 7.3. These are just standard issue things that you need to do. Make sure that you have an SSL. I'm not even going to really harp about all the simple things that you should do. I'm just going to talk about things that are going to take you to the next level. As far as like those major plugin issues, we're going to discuss those today, and I'm going to call every one of them out, because I hope that by the time you get through watching this, you're going to log in and make sure your stuff is updated. So as of today, April 22nd, with 5.4 Adderley, there's no theme issues either. So that's another good thing. Some of the past of, that white screen of death. And hey, I just thought I'd throw this in there, since about 500,000 Zoom passwords got leaked on the dark web. Just go ahead and change your password. Don't even try to figure it out. Don't think about it. Don't try to go look it up, because half the time when people try to go surfing around or try to access the dark web, they end up getting their machine rooted. So take it for what it is. Make sure you change your Zoom password, because credentials are being passed around online. So, and just a quick plug for all of our partners and sponsors. We'd like to thank the people at American Financial Management. We have a really nice website that's coming soon for these guys, and the guys from Fiddlesticks Fire Starters. And don't forget about the guys over at Back to Basic, Wilson Hawk. Thank you very much for all your years of support. We really do appreciate you. And vitalclay.com, make sure you check those guys out. So let's go ahead and jump up in here into kind of a process of what it is we do. So the first thing, and everyone has heard me preach and talk about these guys. We talk about Cloudways a lot. We've worked with them very closely for years now. I think we've had numerous customers on Cloudways for about 3 years now. So about 3 years is my experience of working with these guys. Now, right off the top, I can tell you, in comparison to companies like WP Engine, both of these are like managed WordPress, very similar to, Gary, Nexus. These guys they're all managed WordPress. They take care of a lot of things for you, but what you can't do is you can't abuse that support. If you have a problem with a system, they're more than happy to help, okay? But just make sure that you respect their workflow and what they have to do. So if you have a problem that you believe is server related, make sure you talk to them. If you have a problem that is in relation to your firewall or your security on your server, please talk to your support specialist. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to talk to them about, because you don't know anything about how to do WordPress or to set up your theme or set up your plugins. That's not what support from your server company is for your host. You don't want to do that to them. So try to keep everything on a business level with them. You're paying them to handle your hosting service. And if you need help, come to somebody that does that type of work, and we'll be glad to help you if you have questions, or we'll lead you in the right direction to someone who can. So that's just kind of something I wanted to throw in there. We get questions all the time, every day. People are in panic mode. Things are broken. And sometimes their websites are hacked. Sometimes they have other underlying issues, and it has nothing to do with the hosting company. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I've seen a lot of really interesting positions that these guys have been put in. So one of the most, I'd have to say, Cloudways is our favorite host that we use. The reason that we like to use them is because we can deploy on Amazon, we can deploy on Vultr, Linode, DigitalOcean, multiple different types of configurations all at one time. It's a very, very solid system, and it's very secure just at its root level. Just the way that they operate and all the different variables that they allow you to do make them a very good host. Now, Cloudways is offering a new support level where you can call. Some levels only allow you to message. If you are a customer that you believe you're going to have problems, may I recommend you to possibly call somebody like, managed, like a managed WordPress service like WP Engine or Nexus, where you can get a human being on the phone that can help you. And sometimes that makes people feel a little bit more comfortable. We're very comfortable with the configuration at Cloudways, so we use them with all of our customers. So just a couple of things that I want to bring up. Make sure you understand that when you're installing WordPress, we're talking about WordPress.org, self-hosted WordPress. We're not talking about WordPress.com, which is hosted by them. So when you are deploying a WordPress website, you're going to have to set up that application or WordPress on your server. So make sure you have a high quality, fast, reliable server that you're using so you can be secure. Try to stay out of shared environments where you have an unknown amount of people. Try to find something that's dedicated, that's specifically to you. And that is definitely something that'll keep you secure in the beginning. Make sure it has a really good firewall. They use a very good firewall in their configuration at the server level. They do offer you a free SSL. We'll talk about SSLs later. There's lots of options with SSLs. And I'm sure if you've done any type of security work on a website, you can start from free SSLs all the way to several $1,000 SSLs. And we'll define that and talk about that here shortly. One thing that Cloudways does is they do a lot of security patching on the server side for you. So you don't even know what it is they do. They just keep you up to date and keep you moving along good. A lot of times, some hosts just let it go on for years and they never change that. And I feel kind of unfortunate for some people when things happen because they're unaware that they're being attacked, or they're unaware that their performance of their website is degraded because of the constant, bots attacking their website. We're going to try to change that for you guys here soon. Another thing that I like is they have a two-factor authentication on the hosting platform side. That's great. Make sure you activate that. And if I have to do videos for each one to keep you guys secure, I'd love to do that. I'd just go through and set up two-factor on every single hosting account there is just to keep people out of it. This is one thing that you need to make sure that you have set up properly. Don't cheap out on this part right here. Don't think because you got a website for $2 or $3 or $5 a month that everything's secure, because I can tell you right now, if something's not updated or it's not, you're extremely vulnerable, especially in today's time. Today, we looked up the metrics. This is some of the things that we don't like to talk about, some of this proprietary information, but I'll tell you, just on our side, we had probably about 30 to 40 attacks from Russia and China. And while I have, contacts in all different countries across the world, it's just usually just like malicious, like bot attacks where people are they're just looking to see for ways to get in. And these are things that a lot of companies don't talk about, and they need to talk about it. They need to let people know that they're potentially vulnerable. I think they just want people to buy stuff and they don't talk about it. And then when they get hacked, then they go in and they charge them a bunch of money to fix it. So let's try to change that, guys. Let's try to just do things right and just let the customers know. So the first thing we're going to talk about after you get your host, you're going to need a good way to control people from doing what's called a denial of service attack on your website. So what we recommend is we recommend all customers to use Cloudflare. Every customer that we have, by default, Shopify uses Cloudflare. When their system was built, Cloudflare was integrated into it. But WordPress, companies like WP Engine, they automatically use Cloudflare. And there's other companies out there. Off the top of my head, I can't remember every single one that has Cloudflare baked in. But if you're using a server with Cloudways, you're going to have to set up a free Cloudflare account. Now, there are a big difference between free and then like a pro level and then a business level and an enterprise level. And let me kind of define those for you real quick. When you're using like the free level, you can get the primary protection that I want you to get out of this account. It's going to keep you from getting what's called DOS, or like denial of service attack, where somebody's sending millions of packets at your website, constantly to try to overload your server or your app and shut it down. Okay, and that's something that can easily be done. When you're working with Cloudflare, it stands between the attack and your website. So basically, just think of it as like a shield. It's like basically an impenetrable shield. And again, let me clarify something. Nothing is unhackable and impenetrable, but what we're going to do is we're going to slow down the majority of everything. Okay, there are people out there that can literally take out data centers. They can pretty much get into whatever they want, but they're only going to be coming after you. I'm talking about making sure that we stop all the malicious foul intent by the people that are not that good. We're going to try to stop all the bots. We're going to try to stop all these things that just hinder the performance of your server, and we're going to prove this to you. By setting up Cloudflare, you can access what's called DNSSEC, which allows you to secure your domain name at root level, at DNS level. So when you set that up, be it you're using, Google domains or GoDaddy or whatever, there is a extremely large code that you have to copy from one platform into another, and it locks that particular domain down at root level, which secures your domain. So when you have your DNS or your infrastructure gets attacked, at least that part's secure. So doing some of these simple parts like protecting your website and having something stand between you and your website to protect it, to keep all those packets from hitting it, from taking it out. This is what Cloudflare is going to do. And that's really kind of the most generalized, basic explanation I can give you on that without giving you an example of it happening in real time where it just really shuts down everything. It just makes your DNS and your infrastructure on that end like really resilient. Now that's on a free account. When you move into the paid account, like the $20 a month level, this will allow you to get a really good web application firewall, something that is already configured that you don't even know how to, you don't have to know how to do it. So the experts at Cloudflare, they protect about 27 to 28 million websites. So they know a thing or two about making sure that your website is going to stay online. So they can handle the heat, whereas most configurations can't. It can sometimes take down specific, data centers to where no one's website's working. An example would have been about 3 years ago when we were attacked by Russia on the East Coast, and about, a third of the internet went out. Everybody lost their website that day. And it took anywhere from 8 to 12 hours for your website to come back. Now that has been fixed and we haven't had that problem since then. But it's tools like this that really help the infrastructure and protect you. And so the more of you that are protected, the better off we are. So I'm not sure why everyone doesn't talk about Cloudflare. So If you can afford that additional $20 a month, I would highly suggest moving up to that pro account so you can get that additional web application firewall. And you get a host of other things that really enhance the performance of your website. So that was something that I really wanted to make sure I spent a little bit of time on to help you out. And then here's the third thing right here that I would like to talk about. And this is something that is absolutely super important, and that is to make sure that you have two-factor authentication on your WordPress website. I know you heard me say two-factor on your server configuration, but I'm talking about on your WordPress website. When you go to log in on WordPress, you're going to have to, enter a username, and please don't use admin. Use something different. Use something creative, and please make sure you have a strong password. There's tons of tools out there where these people try to, hack your website, and a bot will constantly try to log into your website. We've seen scenarios like this before where customers' websites will have several thousand attempts a day where a bot has already connected itself to the website and it's trying to log in. And what happens is it uses a lot of CPU utilization on your server, and it really makes it seem like there's a lot of people on your website and there's hardly nobody there. What happens is it slows your website down, and they're constantly attacking it, trying to log in. So what we do is we make sure that you have a username or an email, and you have a very strong password, preferably 20 character to 26 character, and we make people log in with two-factor authentication. And we also use CAPTCHA on that login page. So when you go to log in with your username, then you log in with your password, you have to validate with CAPTCHA, and then you have to put in your two-factor authentication. If you don't have that two-factor authentication entered within a certain amount of time, it invalidates the actual CAPTCHA. So you have to revalidate and start over again. So you need to do that process in about 20 to 30 seconds tops to log in to be secure. Doing this is a huge, huge advantage. This right here keeps out 60 to 70% of the people just from the jump. Now there are other ways that they can, get in, and we're going to talk about that here next. But let me just say this: by having your users that are logging into your platform validate with two-factor authentication, or multi-factor is what some people call it, it forces them to have the proper level of security for your website. Because I can tell you right now, I administrate different companies, and people will try to change their password to something like password 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or something stupid like that. And it'll be a really short password, and we won't allow that to happen. So it notifies us. We send an email back to tell them that, they can only have a 16 to 20 character password. And by following these protocols, we haven't had any breaches. I think what happens is when some of these employees get tired of typing in these passwords, or they don't use password managers, it causes a huge problem for your corporate network. So you have to, if they're going to be on your network, you have to make sure you're secure. Okay, it's just the cost of doing business today. Okay. Also, when you set up this plugin, the general run-of-the-mill functionality that I talked about here is free. You can also get a paid feature, which really kind of opens it up and expands all different types of things. But you're talking about anywhere from $5 to $35 a user per year. And it depends on how many users are on your website. So if you have a lot of users, you could just start off with $5 a year, and that would allow you to have that functionality to make sure that your users are, secure, that they have to enable two-factor authentication. And two-factor works with, you can use like Google, you can use Authy. There's all different types of systems that you can use to activate that. And it's simply just an app. And the way two-factor authentication works is like this. Let me see if I can give you guys an example really quick. So when you use two-factor authentication, the you just log into the application and you're basically going to scan a barcode. That's what the apps look like when you open it up. Once you scan a barcode, you're going to have a list of numbers on your device, and you can scroll through and find which particular website that you're loading into. And then that password changes every so many seconds. So even if someone was to see the password, they would have to know your username. They would have to know your 20 to 26 character password. They would have to activate the CAPTCHA, and they would have to have that password within that 30 seconds. And they're not going to find all that out all within that particular time frame. So this system to configure it like that is pretty powerful for free. And that would be on the administrative side. And if you wanted to add some of your employees or whatever, then you would have to add the $5 per user all the way up to the $35 enterprise level. And just to kind of throw this out there, I want you to kind of look around and to see the integration of what this works with. You know, these guys, while nobody knows who they are, they do a lot of big business, and they work with a lot of really big companies out there. Seems like I've seen some stuff where they work with like Disney and stuff like that. So they know what they're doing. So if they can keep people's websites like that secure, and they work with all these platforms right here, rest assured they can keep you secure. So let's moving on to the next one. This is something that I've had lots of questions about. A lot of times I joke about this, and a lot of times sometimes people can guess right and sometimes they can't. They'll say things like, well, yours is a custom build or whatever. And I'm like, no, it's built on WordPress. But what I did is I used this tool called WP Hide, wp-hide.com. They have a free version and they have a paid version. Now, what you can do with wp-hide.com is you can customize your URL for your login. Every hacker or sysadmin or anybody in the world knows how to log into a WordPress website. It's the same thing, guys. It's the same thing everywhere. It's wp-admin, you know, after the at the end of your URL. So that means people go to that particular portion, they can try to log in with their username and a password. Well, with what I spoke to you about a moment ago, well, first of all, that stops that. By using this functionality right here, by making them have to, you know, validate with CAPTCHA and making them have to have that two-factor authentication, what we can do is a trick. We can limit their login access. So on our configurations, if you don't get the password correct in the first 2 or 3 tries, guess what? It bans you. So it can automatically detect if someone's trying to do a brute force attack, and it'll ban your IP. So you would have to know how to log in the backside and unblock your IP to move forward to log in. So even if you yourself put the wrong password in, that's not going to work. It's going to ban your IP, and then you have to log in and, you know, reallow your IP to be utilized on your platform, because it'll block you from accessing your own website. So I like to tell people this: make sure that you have your username, your password, and your phone with you when you're validating your two-factor authentication. So when you log in, you don't have that problem. This tool, coupled with this tool right here, allows you to have a custom URL. You can make your URL, you know, I like bananas or whatever. I don't care what you make it, but make it an extension of your domain that nobody can guess. You can make it my-website-login.php. Okay, no one's going to guess that. All right. So when you use that type of login, if they go to the old WP-admin, it's going to go to a 404. They're not going to be able to get in. They're not going to be able to find it. They're going to have the specific login. Now, if other people know what your login URL is, you can just go and change it. And that's what this tool allows you to do. And one thing I like to tell a lot of the older guys that do this, well, they go, well, Jimmy, you don't need that. You can do this with, by yourself. And the answer to that is yes, you can. But here's one of the important things about this. This makes your configuration to set this up easy, very, very easy. You can rename your plugins so nobody can tell what kind of plugins you have. You can rename your theme. You can rename anything you want in a simple dashboard configuration to where if somebody attempts to scan your website, they can't even tell it's a WordPress website. So what do you think is going to happen when the bots are out looking for, WordPress websites to attack? Well, it can't tell your website's a WordPress website. It certainly can't tell what kind of plugins you have. So again, think about that, outside the box. This type of thing really works. So if all the hackers know that Elementor, had a security breach the other day, what do you think they're going to go looking for? Elementor websites, and that's how they're going to get in. So you need to make sure that you change that, or what we call mask. We need to mask the identities. And I think the WP Hide guys really did an excellent job of saying the easy way to completely hide your WordPress fingerprints. A lot of times people will just scan your website to see what it is you're using. That's not really cool, but they do it anyway. Well, we just block them from what we do. So they offer a host of different configurations. I would highly suggest work with somebody that knows what they're doing on this. You don't really want to mess anything up. And depending on what kind of server configuration you have, you may have to get the pro version, or you can work with the free version. So just make sure that you thoroughly read the documentation on this right here. This is not, I don't really recommend this to everybody, more of a medium to advanced, because you can break things if you don't read the documents, and you won't be able to get back in. So proper configuration on this only, guys. You've been warned. But it works very, very well. Let's move to the next one. The next one is called GetAstra.com. So this is something that you hear a lot of these people talk about. The GetAstra guys have been around a long time, and they're a solid community. These guys, they know what they're doing. They do some of the most incredible work I've seen in a long time, and they actually have an embedded community with their product that is a very large-scale group of white hat hackers, black hat hackers. The community helps you. So if you have a problem with your website and you're utilizing their real-time threat detection system here that I'm fixing to show you guys, they will work with you and help you. This is what they enjoy doing. They can teach you a lot. We found that we were getting attacked on various levels that we were unaware it was happening. And we have documented proof. One thing that we like to show people is when you have forms on your website, one of the biggest places people try to attack is form fields. They also try to attack your search fields. But anything where the search or the forms are at, they're always trying to get in that way. And these are very easy vulnerabilities. This system just stops it. It just stops it in the tracks. This system will automatically scan your website for malware every day. And if you allow them SFTP access, they'll fix it for you on their paid plans. They have like a regular plan all the way up to like a business plan. This is an extremely excellent service right here. If your website has the ability where people are uploading and scanning documents in, this is another place that gets attacked. Their system protects that as well. Their website firewall is really advanced. They also right here as a note I made, they fix about 80 well-known web app security flaws that most people are unaware that are not there. Some of their higher tier things close the gap on as many as 500 different security issues that websites typically have. So again, this is an excellent product. If you have a really large store, and you want them to do what's called an advanced audit, they have two different levels. They have a $500 level and they have a $1,000. And rest assured, this will give you all the information that you need and of how to properly configure everything. These guys worked with BlackBerry, Yahoo. They work with so many large-scale companies out there to keep them secure. It's unbelievable. It's kind of strange that they're not way bigger than, they are. They really deserve a lot of press, and a lot of people haven't been talking about them. So hopefully you guys will, try their service out. It is a paid service, but I would highly recommend it. And if we can get enough people involved, we can try to go to them and see if we can get like a group deal. The guy that runs it is a really nice guy, and they're very, very sharp, with this. So I know that there's other tools out there that probably people in the WordPress community, they're going to say, well, what about WordFence? What about security? All those are great tools. We really like this particular tool right here because it plays well with everything that we have, okay? And with what we do. They also offer a little small tool. It's free. It's a WordPress hardening tool that they created. You can go to the WordPress.org website and go to plugins and look for WP hardening. Here's the URL right here, and you can download it, and it can help you solve as many as up to 19 different security issues that your WordPress website already has. And you'd be pleasantly surprised to find out that they can really help you, even on the free level right here, just doing some of the right things. So without doubt, I would highly recommend you to download this particular product and to check out this product right here. The combination of those two are great. Let's kind of jump into something else that's kind of really important here. There are so many other layers to this. I've almost taken into consideration that I need to do part 2 of this story where I show you how to install each one of these components. All of these components we're talking about today, they all play well together, and we've done this configuration multiple times, 30 plus times on different people that we help, 20 to 30 times that I can verify right now and think of. But without doing this, none of this matters. I'm going to introduce you to a product called Updraft Plus. This is probably one of the most downloaded backup systems on WordPress repository. They got about 2 million downloads for backing up products, backing up people's websites. But here's the way I want you to think about this. And depending on which system you have and who your host is, you need to make sure that you have a backup and a restore system, a backup and restore protocol in place. I can't tell you how many times we've worked on people's websites. I can't even remember on 2 hands how many times we've gone in and they don't even have a backup, or they don't have their system initiated where it's backing up their website, and they lose everything they have. Sometimes they'll have it backed up locally. Well, if it's been hacked, then that's, your backup's going to be affected. So what we try to do is we try to put people with a system that has off-site backup, not backup local to what they have, because again, you're going to have an issue with that. You're actually going to lose both sets of what you have copied if it's local to your server. So here's what I propose you to do. If you're going to create a strategy to keep it secure, create a strategy that allows you to back up what you have and put it in an automated pattern where it's constantly backing up your website. But at the same time, make sure that it's off-site, not related to you. So what we do is we back up what we have to multiple places with Amazon. So if our system goes down, we can simply click a restore button and it comes back to the time from where we backed up at. Now, one thing I like to say is we've ran into situations where you have people that aren't backing up at all. and you have people that are backing up too much, and it really depends. Some, better configurations can back up multiple times a day. If you have the paid plan, I would suggest you to do that. That way, if you have a problem and you break something, set the increment every 3 hours. That way you only know you're losing 3 hours of time. That way you have a copy of it somewhere off-site if something goes bad. So the reason I talk about this, anytime I talk to a customer or anybody I know about security, is the purpose of security is to keep the bad guys out. If the bad guys do get in and they get through every layer of your protocol, you need to make sure you have a backup. And that backup doesn't need to be where your primary source is. It needs to be, off secondary somewhere else, and it needs to have a copy. So this particular system right here, Updraft Plus, is excellent. It works 99.999% of the time. It just simply works. Okay, just make sure you give these guys a try. Very simple on the configuration. They even have something that will really make your life a lot easier. If you have I believe it's called Updraft Central. We have a lot of websites on this particular account where we can just go through and click and it'll update everything. That's how you can manage, as many as you can put in there. You can make sure WordPress core is updated, but what we do is we like to log in and check each store and check the functionality to make sure that there's no problems that occur or happen in the midst of an update. So, Gary, do you happen to have any questions? Does anybody happen to have any questions right now? I'd like to kind of jump into it, and while you're typing all those out, I'll scroll down here and show you a few things. A little bit about Cloudways, and these are some of their basic plans right here. This is some of the DigitalOcean pricing with Cloudways. We've used these configurations right here, and we've had blinding fast results. People really like them. We haven't had any episodes or any problems lately. Like even when they recently had to reroute traffic, they used their other, they made the move and helped people to keep everybody's systems up, and that was pretty amazing. I was really impressed like that. They'll even tell you when their systems are having problems. There's not a whole lot of companies that do that. I can think of off the top, somebody that's actually really good about that is Pantheon. They do a good job at that, like letting people know if they're having system issues. Cloudways is really good about that. A lot of the other ones, I don't have a lot of experience with if Nexus is, if they're really proactive in like telling their customers all the time about any issues that they've had, but it's pretty much become standard protocol to run, like they'll allow you to subscribe to an update, several systems will text you and even let you know about that. So that's something that's really important out there. We offer a host of different cybersecurity packages for WordPress. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. But let me go ahead. I want to jump into some of this other stuff. And I want to show you guys some of this stuff. Give me just 1 second. I'll pull this in for you. I had a lot of fun making these graphics for this particular one right here because it's always been a really, everybody thinks that a hacker is somebody that sits in a dark room with a bunch of monitors, and that's not necessarily the way that it happens. So it's really, to me, it's kind of an interesting thing to, joke around and, portray with people. All right, give me just 1 second here, guys. All right, good. Thanks, Gary, for staying on top of this and helping me keep up with it, so I can let you guys know they're there. All right, give me 1 second here, and I'm fixing to bring this up on the other screen. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead real quick and talk about this. It seems like every month the team at IThemes Security, I'm sure you guys have, if you have been in the WordPress game for a while, you have heard of IThemes. IThemes is a company that has developed a theme that is very secure. Now, we've used it in the past with various customers and we have no problems with it, but we see a rapid change in the industry with different customers going with different builders. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to build a stack of tools that worked to help protect those new builders that are out there. Sometimes customers want a little bit more flexibility with how their website looks. And we have been trying our best to move customers to those flexible, customizable types of themes to make their businesses look more customized. So we believe the future of the development of iThemes may be very exciting. And we believe that they do a lot of really great work, but we've had customers tell us in the past that they don't want to use it because they don't like the way it looked. So we have moved on to systems that, you know, customers are recommending us to look at, and then we test them. But we're really comfortable with some of the systems that we're using right now, and we know how to make them secure, and we know how to make sure that, you know, the short codes are signed and everything. We don't have any kind of problems like that. So much respect to the, you know, guys over at iThemes, and hopefully in the future we can see more customized, you know, ability in that, and then we'll be able to use those for customers that are very particular about security. But let me show you a few things, and this is one of the things that I think iThemes is very good at. If you're a security type of person, you know, and you want to make sure that you have the latest and greatest information on this, make sure you go subscribe to the iThemes website, you know, get signed up on their RSS feeder, and then make sure that you check to see if any of your plugins have had any kind of security breaches. So let's just talk about a few of these that are kind of important. An SEO tool that we have recently talked about called RankMap that we've had a lot of good luck with customers. This particular tool had a privilege escalation vulnerability and a redirect creation vulnerability. And I'm sure you know of plenty of companies that have a lot of people in the hierarchy that have multiple levels of, you know, users working on the website at one time. And these types of vulnerabilities are not good to have. So this means an editor could have been an admin. And you don't really want those things to happen. Not to say that any of these people did anything with malicious intent, but this was a known vulnerability and it's been patched. So if you're running the RankMap plugin, please make sure you update to make sure you're secure. Here was the one that was probably one of the biggest one that we've seen. These two actually. We have quite a number of people that use the LearnDash tool. And it had an SQL injection vulnerability. And again, the Elementor page builder, God, I couldn't even imagine how many people are using Elementor page builder. That's probably 500,000 to 1 million people. They had another privilege escalation vulnerability in their system, you know, with Elementor. So again, the LearnDash people, you know, e-learning WordPress people out there, make sure you update that plugin really quick, okay? And as far as your Elementor people out there, keep it updated. Some of these other plugins are ones that we haven't really talked about. I just really wanted to talk about the actual one that's a problem. Yeah, this Klarna checkout for WooCommerce, that's not very good. It's got like a plugin deactivation and installation vulnerability that, you know, that they'd take care of. Notice some of these, like responsive poll. they just remove the plugin. If they can't communicate, they'll just pull it off. So let's just kind of go back up here. This is something else that's pretty popular right now, Ultimate add-ons. So if you are a big user of Gutenberg and you bought those Ultimate add-ons to extend the functionality of your builder, please make sure you update that, because we don't want you to have any kind of problems. So now that I've got that out of the way, let's kind of go into some of this exciting stuff. So this right here is a new cryptocurrency exchange plugin. I kind of feel lucky to talk about this. This only came out just a few hours ago. Usually it seems like everybody gets to talk about things before I'm able to get it out there on the internet these days. These people are quick. These guys are doing 3-4 videos a day. It's kind of insane. Let me just show you. This is the plugin that's made for anybody that wants to put a decentralized crypto exchange on their WordPress website. It's as simple as installing a plugin and using a shortcode, WPDEX, in any page or post on your WordPress website. This is pretty interesting right here. This means we're heading in the right direction. Well, what a lot of people didn't know, and I'm actually kind of proud to announce this right here, that WordPress has a new, I guess, extension or part of their business called Newspack. And they've been working with Google, and Google led them on a funding round of about $1.2 million. And they're creating a really high-end news system that a lot of these news companies are going to have to pay to access. It's about $1,000 to $2,000, but what it does is it allows you to put your news articles on the blockchain. So we're really kind of heading into an exciting space, where you kind of see, I've always said this, like WordPress, the most important thing about WordPress is it encompasses about 1/3 of the internet. So when we start adding all these exciting tools, into WordPress, it gives you a lot of functionality that you've never had before. And I think you're going to see, people are going to, when they start seeing it integrate with these larger platforms, they're going to know that, hey, this is like what we need to do in our business. And we've been on the forefront of this, blockchain stuff for years and years and years. We've been working on stuff, and we've deployed, stuff on the Microsoft system, and we've worked with Amazon on this and all different types of stuff. So we're really excited to see this. So that's really great news. WordPress and Google News. I'm super excited about this. So another really unique plugin that come out here during this, time. And again, I just want to kind of reemphasize, I hope everybody's families are safe and everybody's okay. But now we have a no contact delivery, option for WooCommerce. So it's called Leave at Door for WooCommerce. It was updated, as you can see, 2 days ago. New plugin works. We've already tested it. We'll roll it out probably in our next episode, where we show you a bunch of cool things that we built. Let me just kind of show you the input, from this new WordPress publishing platform. We'll offer blockchain features, but let me just kind of focus on this right here. This is let me just kind of, I want to highlight it to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. Specifically, Civil Publishers product, which allows newsrooms to permanently archive content on a decentralized network, will be installed as a plugin on the WordPress platform for any newsroom to use. That's really cool. That's very cool right there. And of course, this is the source of the information. And of course, I'm going to go back through at the end of this live event. I was actually told by 2 different people that the reason I didn't have anybody at my last live event is because they just went to the website and read it all and didn't come. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the rest of the slides in after the event in a few hours. And then we'll put a little bit of information out on social media to kind of rehash, what I talked about. But this right here, the Tim Draper firm launches the crypto exchange anyone can plug into WordPress. So these things just recently come out just a few hours ago. So I like to kind of, bring you guys the latest news about WordPress and security and what you can do to have a much more flexible and powerful store. And the next time we're going to jump in, we're going to make sure that we have a couple of key things set up for you to see how these things function. And I'm going to take a store, just a fake off-the-cuff store, and just spin it up and show you how easy these things are to implement. And if I have to, you know, at you guys' request, what I'll do is I'll do a configuration on this. I'll do a configuration on this, and I'll just put a button down here that sends you directly to the video so you can see how we do these things. And again, if you don't feel comfortable doing this type of work, as always, you know, feel free to reach out to me. We'll be glad to help you. We have a really good team that works on these specifics right here. We do take a lot of pride in making sure that we keep our customers' websites secure. And we also want to make sure that your business is not harmed in any way. We've even gone through a couple of steps for the future to where we can show you guys where we're isolating incidences, where we're using multiple servers to keep people secure and to stabilize the network load. So these are other things we want to talk about in the future. But I hope this gave you some insight on what it takes to build a secure WordPress website. I hope everyone has a great weekend. And as always, feel free to reach out to me in the chat, send me an email, tell people about us, you know, tell people to subscribe and share the news. And we really do appreciate you guys for showing up. Thank you very much. And come again. Next week, we're going to be talking about social media and social media security and what you can do. So make sure you definitely show up for that. So thank you guys and have a great day.